So I am finally getting around to a project that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've been wanting to set up a compost system on my patio. Now, obviously there's not a lot of space, but what I'm going to be doing is I have a couple 5-gallon buckets that I got from Lowe's, and it's very important you want the lid as well, because one of the keys with compost is moisture, so you want the lid to keep the moisture locked in. So I'm going to go over very quickly kind of the principle behind composting and how we're going to do that in the bucket, and then we're going to get it set up. So with composting, you're breaking down organic material into nutrients. Now the key with composting is keeping everything balanced. When I first moved into an apartment 15 years ago at this point, I think, like on my own after college, I had this grand idea of composting, but I never researched anything. And I thought composting was just, I have a container, I throw food scraps in it, and it breaks down and it turns into magic and gold. No. What will happen if you just put food scraps in a bucket is you will get lots of cockroaches. So you need something aside from the food scraps. You also need what's called brown material. So that would be dried up sticks, leaves, some old soil, paper bags and cardboard, old newspapers, stuff like that. You need airflow, so we're actually going to be drilling holes into this bucket, and then you need the moisture. One thing I'm also going to be adding as I get this set up is some already made compost, and can hopefully jumpstart the process of breaking things down because there's already that good bacteria in the compost. So I'm going to go ahead and drill first. Drill holes in the lid, in the bottom of the bucket, and all around. So remember, the key is aeration, so we want to have lots of airflow going through the bucket. So let's go ahead and drill some holes. Carpal tunnel is kicking in, but I have a lot more holes to go and another bucket. My hand might be completely numb by the time I finish this. So that is one bucket done. I really do have a lot of holes in here. I have 3 levels of holes on the side and a bunch of holes on the bottom and the holes on the top. So hopefully that'll provide a good amount of aeration. I'm just trying to pull off. You're gonna find that you're gonna get a lot of like curly pieces, but not all of them completely broke off. So, but at least the holes are open, so I think it should be okay. Sorry if you hear a loud noise behind me. I'm not using the microphone because the microphone I got is like super quiet. I think the sound is actually better just using my phone, but it is that time of year where the AC starts running, and unfortunately the AC unit is right on our patio, so nothing I can do about that. All right, I think my hand kind of relaxed a little bit, so getting a little bit of feeling back in my hand. Yeah, not a fun thing about aging is just developing things like carpal tunnel. Like, what the hell? I'm 39. I should not have carpal tunnel syndrome, but I do. Here we go, bucket number 2. All right, now that I have the holes drilled all around, I need to get the materials to fill the bucket. So what you need for your compost is you need browns, greens, moisture, and air. So browns, that's your dried material. That would be, you know, you could use dried leaves, dried grass clippings, You can also use paper, cardboard. You don't want to use anything glossy, and personally I would probably be careful with using anything with a lot of ink on it unless I knew it was like kind of natural or soy based ink. I don't know that I'd want a lot of chemicals getting into my compost. You can also use some old soil. For greens, this is going to be your food scraps or fresh clippings from your garden. So like if you just pruned something or pulled some weeds, things like that, that can go in. You can also add eggshells, but you don't want to be adding like regular food scraps like cooked food or meat or dairy or anything like that. You want to keep it to produce and then eggshells, which can add some calcium to your compost, which is really good for plants like tomatoes. And then you want moisture, so after we put all that together, we're going to add a little bit of moisture, and then I'm also going to add some already made compost just to kickstart the process. So I'm gonna go gather my materials and come back and we will assemble the oh, there's a butterfly. Sorry, there's just this big beautiful butterfly that flew by. I wish I got it on camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and gather my materials and then we will assemble the compost lasagna. So that was actually pretty gross. I just cleaned out my fridge yesterday. We had a bunch of really old berries that were kind of moldy, some overripe bananas, we had some really old oranges that were moldy, so all that was in the trash. So I literally just picked through the trash. That was really gross. So for my greens, I know it doesn't look very green, but the idea is it's supposed to be kind of like fresh, moist stuff. So I have some bananas, some strawberries, some oranges. I cut up the oranges just to help it break down a little quicker. I also put, I'm sure this is part of the browns, but I put some coffee grounds in here from some cold brew. I know coffee grounds can be really good in compost, and so I put that in here. There's some kiwi skins. Also, if I need it, I have a thing of spinach that unfortunately went bad, so I've got that here. For my browns, with the intention of doing this down the road, when I prepped all my beds this year and cleaned everything out, I saved a whole bunch of, here, let me see if I can show you. I saved here like the old root balls and stems, really thick stems from stuff that I was growing. So this does look like it's soil, but there actually is a lot of dried organic material in here. I think this was all thyme, so it's just a lot of sticks and dried up leaves. I've also been throwing, as I've been thinning things out, just kind of throwing stuff in here. I also have this old rosemary plant. She just wasn't looking good. She's very, very woody. There's actually a flower over here. I've never seen that happen to my rosemary, but I'm gonna chop her up too and put her in the compost. You can see there's just a lot of needles going here. And then I did a little dumpster diving in our recycling bin. I got some grocery bags, some paper grocery bags, and I have, kind of going a little full circle, a cardboard box from Botanical Interest, so that'll help my botanical interest seeds grow someday. So let's go ahead and assemble this. What I'm gonna do now is I'm actually going to put a little bit of earthworm castings in here just to kind of kickstart the decomposition process, since that's gonna have that beneficial bacteria in there. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of water because we do want moisture. There is quite a bit of moisture in the greens material that I added, but we do need moisture. This just needs to stay nice and moist. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some water. Are going to cover the buckets up with the lids, and these are just going to go underneath my raised cedar bed planters because there's room under there for buckets. So now we just wait and see what happens. So I'm going to let these sit about a week, start doing their thing, and then I'll come and check on it at that point and mix it up and see kind of where we're at. Hopefully we're not infested with bugs. So I will definitely keep you guys updated and let you know how it goes. Keep growing where you're at.